Well, from my quote, I learned that, or I thought about many things when I was a child. Our parents always tell us, usually our mom is the nicest, say, if your dad's yelling at you, just stay quiet. It's better to stay quiet or else you're going to get punished even more. From my quote, it's from somebody anonymous that said, I have often regretted my speech, never my silence. I think this quote is very true, especially as I mentioned. Our mom always tells us, stay quiet. And of course we don't, because we're young and we just want to say what we want to say, and we don't care. So we speak up, and of course it's 2 more weeks of grounding or another spanking just because we opened our mouth. And if we would have just stayed quiet and listened to Mom, we would have probably only been grounded for 2 weeks and not a month and had our video games a week later. But no, we don't tend to listen. So I think that's one of the examples of how we'd rather just, as we learn, stay quiet and not say anything at all. Another way is in class, people are talking all the time, and if we would just stay quiet and listen to the teacher, it's probably something it's important to say during our speech, or during our test that it could have been come up on, and if we were talking or maybe not listening at all, we could have used that information for our test and perhaps learned from it. Another way is when we're older, we think that people want to hear our opinion, and in some cases it's not really true. They'd rather just not hear it, and if it doesn't concern us or it's not something we really should say, it's better to stay quiet. For example, if you know something about somebody sneaking out, your sister sneaking out at night, and it's really none of your business, but you just want to be the sad tale just because, I think it's better we just stay quiet because it's going to come back and bite us in the butt one day. So those are some examples of how we should just stay quiet, hold it back, because later we can regret what we say, and if we just stay quiet, then we don't have anything to regret it off later.
Right, the setup at the beginning was a little bit awkward, but once you get to the quote, you have a clear point of view. There's not really a preview of what the structure is going to be, but when you start talking about things, it's clear that you have kind of an organizational pattern that is topical in nature. I thought your individual points were adequately developed. I think there's always more detail that you could add to make it more interesting, and you'll figure out some of the things that you would have liked to have added as you think about it, I'm sure. The presentation issues, I thought you had very good projection and variety in your voice. The pacing's about right. The 2 things that are really noticeable, though, that are a little bit problematic, your gestures. Basically, you've got your hands locked behind your back the whole time. You look really uncomfortable as a consequence. And most of the audience won't see it, but it'll be available for you to view on YouTube, the way that you're playing with the topic in your hand behind your back. So that looks a little awkward. The other thing that is, I think, a little problematic are your feet. You've got a lot of nervous foot movement. You're crossing your feet, you're standing on your toe, you are shuffling around a little bit. You need to have a more confident position. I think it's interesting because that really seems to conflict with some of the other things that you're doing that you do very effectively. Your facial expressions, for instance, are engaged and friendly. I think you've got really solid audience contact. It's pretty well distributed throughout the presentation. So that appears to be where all your anxiety is coming out, in your feet and in your hands. The conclusion, I thought you had a good summary of the speech, and you seem to, like I said, finish off pretty well, and there was a structure at the end, even though it wasn't previewed, so the summary helps give it a little bit more content. All right, thank you.